breaking Bitcoin, everybody. Recorded live for you Monday, March 23rd, 2020, here in the underground quarantine bunker at the Kraken Cryptocurrency Studios. This is your daily source for everything markets and finance. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to subscribe and turn on no notifications. Otherwise, YouTube will not tell you when we go live. Make sure to hit the thumbs up button, guys. Highly appreciated. Let us know below what you've learned and what you guys would like to see in tomorrow's episode. If you have any questions, drop them in the live chat. The moderators will direct my attention to them, and we will cover your questions in the Q&A section. Hope you guys had a fantastic weekend. We are off to an exciting day of trading. We are off to a fantastic week. We've got so much to talk about today. We're going to be talking about price closing above the baseline. We're going to be talking about the decoupling. We're going to be talking about gold. We're going to be talking about historical correlations. We're going to talk about the latest projections from Willy Woo. Of course, we're going to cover the latest goings on with the coronavirus and, of course, the absolute debacle of a government system we have right now with the current, hang up over the stimulus package and the lack of really anything being done. We'll get into that. We'll talk about that as well. We're going to talk about the fear and greed index as well as the hash rate. So Monday's trading session today for traditional markets marks the second straight day in red. This is the second time following a failure to agree on this $2 trillion now. It's walked its way back from $4 trillion. This $2 trillion economic stimulus package, this rescue package. Of course, disappointing investors who were hoping to buy stocks on the cheap. Again, tried to be very consistent about this, and I will let you guys know. In the future, there are going to be fantastic buying opportunities in traditional assets. Companies that are currently, because if you look at where corporate profits are relative to the valuation of the SPY or the stock market still today, we've got a long way to go before those levels reach correlation, before they're equal. Now, in the future, there will be some fantastically undervalued stocks and assets to go long on, but not right now. Not right now, in my opinion. And we will definitely talk about that when it is the time. We're going to be covering SH and SDS as well. We'll be covering the traditional markets, all of those things as well. Indeed. Things that I'm keeping my eye on, which we'll talk about here in a little bit, is the Forex Calendar, is the fundamental news event. So we've got unemployment coming out on Thursday. I am interested to see that because it is going to be a harbinger of what's going to be coming on in the future. Slowly and slowly, I think that, honestly, you guys watching the show are ahead of the curve. You just being here lets you know that you're ahead of the curve because we're fairly contrarian most of the time. And I think people are not yet in Main Street. I think most people still think that we're just going to V-bottom out of this economically. The markets will go back to normal, jobs will go back to normal, and we already understand that it's not going to go down that way. We've been talking about this for a very long time. This is a cryptocurrency related trading show, for the love of God. But it's not going to go down that way, and people are slowly going to realize that things are not going to go back to the way they were, that things are going to be fundamentally different for quite some time, and the market's going to respond accordingly. And we're going to figure out exactly what are safe haven assets, right? Gold obviously has historical prevalence with bottoming far before traditional markets do. And we hope what we see right now currently is some positive correlation with Bitcoin as well. As we'll get into with this decoupling narrative going into what Willy Woo has said lately. We'll see if that actually has legs and if we get this confirmation within a week. And as a chartist, as a technical analyst, I will go down and show you specifically what I would like to see for that narrative to have more legs. But, of course, it is Monday. Exciting day. Put on a bunch of trades in the premium trading group. We now are supporting CFD trades and initially ETFs, right? So I put out the first CFD and ETF trades of my own. I've obviously been trading these assets for quite a while, but I've got a very nice, comfortable strategy that can be relatively automated for the group very quickly, very easily. So those went out today. We'll talk about those just a little bit. We'll also talk about the upgrades that are coming out today. I published privately to the alpha testers the Wada Atar Explosion Strategy Tester. Tomorrow, I will be publishing the Minx Strategy Tester for the alpha testers. If you are a premium member and you would like to help alpha test, you can contact or send an email to our support desk. They can potentially walk you through that. We don't have a lot of slots, but we do certainly have a few slots open. I'm not exactly sure who all they have reached out to do that, but I do know that that is going to be on the table. And this is going to be kind of the preview for what will be released later. Minx, I have finished the Minx optimization code. That is also going to be alpha tested. I'm going to be publishing that one privately on Wednesday, and then the same kind of production schedule for that as well. The baseline indicator, it was brought to my attention that and I knew this, right, that the multi-time frame function doesn't work on same as symbol. So I rewrote that code to include current, which will display the current resolution of whatever you're looking at. And you can also display, it'll be current by default. So I made that simpler. I'll be pushing those upgrades tomorrow as well, hopefully. If not tomorrow, then by Wednesday at the latest. So very exciting week, a lot of opportunities out there. And again, I want to state this, right, because I know that a lot of people are going to be tuning in. I know that a lot of people are going to be tuning in, a lot of guys, a lot of girls tuning in, and they're going to be thinking to themselves, in this type of market, which we're going to get to here in just a second, in this type of market where we've seen, for example, the SPY drop a whole lot, right? And hearing prognostications that it's going to drop significantly more. A lot of people are going to be feeling like if they weren't on top of this movement, right? If they weren't on top of this movement, if they didn't take these setups, if they didn't see these trades, if they didn't catch Bitcoin dropping down 50% or catch it going up 50%, that they've missed it. And you have not, right? We are just getting started. The volatility in the market is not going away anytime soon. We are not going to see a return to low volatility for quite a while. So the opportunity is absolutely amazing right now for a trader, for anybody that's able to navigate these markets, particularly the way that we trade, where we have simple confirmation, where we know exactly what to do, where we are stress-free, where we do not have to follow the charts 24/7. It is fantastic. Forex has never been better. I have never had a better session of trading Forex. And honestly, the activity in CFDs and ETFs that I'm tracking and trading have never been better. Cryptocurrency has been fantastic. And let's just get into that. All right. Let's get into the markets. I got so much that I want to cover today, so we're just going to get started off today. Oh, okay. So before we do begin, we are, in honor of all the opportunity that's available to us, we are, again, having a trading competition. Again, the link is in the description to register. You guys can go to bybitreg.krakencryptocurrency.com to register. We currently have a prize pool of 0.33 BTC that will be increased to 1 BTC if 16 more people sign up. But that is the prize pool right now. The competition is going to go for a full 4 weeks. We're going to be trading a very lighthearted trading competition for 4 weeks. So if you guys want to trade, show off your skills in the order book, test the new strategy that you've been trying out, make sure to check out that registration. It is down in the link. If you haven't signed up for ByBit yet, there is a link down in the description. You get a $90 bonus when you sign up if you guys want to trade right along with us. So really looking forward to that. Very excited for that. And of course, I forgot to mention it. My producers will shoot me. Make sure you guys follow us on Twitch. No, not Twitch. You guys should follow us on Twitch, but Twitter and Instagram, because we post exclusive content over there every single day. Not every single day, but just about every single day that you won't see here on the YouTube or DLive or whatever stuff. Twitch is streaming well tonight. Good. You know why? Because I let my producer handle it and I didn't touch anything. That's everything runs better when I just focus on what I'm good at, which is doing the charts. Okay. To the charts. Let's head right on over to the live scene, guys. All right. As I said, here we are in the live scene. So we'll start off with Bitcoin. All right. Bitcoin having a nice push to the upside here. We're going to break this down. Let's go out to the daily, because that's going to be the most relevant. So as we do, let's start off on the daily. We'll talk about some interesting stuff here. All right. All right, so we had a couple plays off of the baseline, reversal baseline bounce opportunities. Again, just looking at the volume on the previous candle, that was a 6% movement from open to close, this reversal baseline bounce. Again, not hitting ATR values, but good opportunity there for anybody using an exit indicator, particularly 4-hour trading. So we do have something interesting now today. We have closed on the opposite side of the baseline, 60 Hall MA. All right. Now, again, this is going to be pretty contentious for some people, because what are the rules, right? What are the rules? At least the rules that I trade by. Close below the baseline, you hedge up. Close above the baseline, you're not hedged. It's pretty simple. And again, that is a pretty simple strategy that has delivered a lot of gains over the years. And here we are. Now let's be realistic. Let's zoom out. Let's just take this off for just a little bit. And let's kind of go down to the 15-minute, I guess, so that we can see this a little bit clearer, right? Now, let me tell you guys about being a contrarian in the markets. I want to talk about being a contrarian in the markets, right? So, you know, I watch Twitter. I watch what other traders do. And typically when there are 99 people saying something, you want to generally take the opposite tact, right? Most of the time, right? Most of the time, because most people don't want to be trend following traders because they think that this is the way I view it anyways. Most people don't like trend following trading, even though it's the best way to trade, objectively, absolutely best way to trade. Because they think that they're being smarter than the market by playing reversals and playing support and resistance and all these kind of things, right? They're typically not. Typically, these traders underperform the market. Indicators are awesome. But what I saw on Twitter, I saw it a lot, and that's when I started to be concerned, right? People are like, listen, man, Bitcoin never tests it. When Bitcoin tests support multiple times, you know it's going to crash through, right? When Bitcoin tests resistance multiple times. And if I just saw that from one person, I would think, okay, well, that's generally correct, right? If the more times you test support, the weaker it gets, right? The more times you test resistance, the weaker it gets. But when I'm seeing like everybody and their mom say like, oh, this is it, down we go, down we go, down we go. Typically it's like, okay, let's go ahead and close that. Let's go ahead and close that hedge. However, in that same reign, if I were looking for a potential sell-off right here, I would be looking for potentially maybe 6,000, maybe even 5,700. Even a sweep to 54. But honestly, the trend would be broken at that point in time. It does look like Bitcoin wants to push to the races here. Again, nice, this really tight volatility climbing up. And we've seen this happen a bunch, right? We've seen this happen a bunch where it just stair steps up in this ascending channel and starts a breakout. Again, overcoming this stop loss on, again, if price was going to reject, it was going to reject off here. Look at the volume on this. This is Wadatar. Look at the divergence on that. If it was going to happen, typically it would happen over there. But if I were attempting to wrangle and get out at a slightly better price or look for a good area to go long, again, it would be closer to the $6,200, maybe even the $6,300 range. All right. So having said that, let's get back to the daily. Let's cover our. Actually, let's zoom out. It is a Monday, right? Look at this, a monthly candle, right? Now over here on ByBit. Actually, let's go to the Coinbase chart. All right, over here on the Coinbase chart, or is it the Bitstamp chart? There we go. Yeah, over here on the Bitstamp chart. Let's go ahead and get rid of this. All right, so we talked about these levels. You guys have seen them for quite a while. Level of supply, level of demand. We were all the way down here. We're all the way back up here, right? Right back in that pocket of demand. And this is what I said I wanted to see. I wanted to see price hold this level on a continuing basis. I want to see it hold the $6,000 range. I want to see it hold the $5,900 range. I want to see it hold this level of demand. And that is going to be a pretty good fundamental sign that we have reached. This was the shelf. This was the floor of Bitcoin's price. And yes, we traded far lower than that. However, as I said, we should not have traded lower than 4,000, right? Should not have traded lower than 4,000. And I'll show you guys why. Because if we look over on the CME chart, what did the CME chart go down to? 4,200. Is the CME chart affected by BitMEX? Not necessarily, not in a direct way, not like all the other index prices are, not like all the other exchange prices are. How low did the CME futures go? 4,100. Makes sense. All right. So we all know that below 5,000, BitMEX ceased to function as a functioning exchange, right? Thus this nice pop back to the upside. And again, the way that we trade handles this very well, right? Because let's say that we're wrong. Okay. Let's say this isn't the best place long-term to unhedge. Who cares? Because price will close back below the baseline and we'll be short again, right? We'll be short again. Okay. So yeah, it's a very, very, very calm, passive way of trading. Very happy about it. The breaking Bitcoin initiator was tripped to the upside, meaning we've passed the smooth highs. We are above the continuation filter, in range for continuation. Now, again, if I were looking for a little bit more nuance, as I said, where's that continuation filter sitting at? 59.21, right around that $6,000, $6,200 level. Basically a retest. Yeah, again, people would see that as a retest of resistance turn support. I don't really like to, even though I talk about it, again, I think that it's better to just visualize, the way that price is or what is actually going on in the chart. So again, continuation filter down at 59.21. The closer one can get to that is the more optimum entry for any kind of long position, of course. And so if one was looking to again, either get out of a hedge at a better price, or find a more optimum entry into Bitcoin for a swing trade, be down to 59.21. And again, let's talk about we'll get into this when we cover the decoupling, right? But let's assume that price reverses from right here. This whole movement to the upside on lowering open interest, which is true, lowering open interest and lowering volume. Let's say that's true. That this is a nice little rebound back to normality after extreme lows, and we're going to sweep the lows once again. We're even going to go below 3,000. We're going to go below 2,000, right? Let's just get crazy with it, right? Because let's be real. Let's say that cryptocurrency, that Bitcoin, has not earned the safe haven store of value. People don't believe in it. There is not enough money, because my argument would be, listen, you're not going to see people in America flock to Bitcoin as a safe haven. Where are you going to see people flock to Bitcoin? You're going to see people flock to Bitcoin in South Africa, in South America, in parts of Eastern Europe, in lots of parts of Asia, right? A lot of island countries, places around the edges, right? People aren't going to flock to Bitcoin in America, right? People don't view Bitcoin as a safe haven asset in America. I went to San Francisco. I was at San Francisco Blockchain Week. I've seen, I interviewed all of these coin projects, right? Which some are good projects. But here's the thing. Silicon Valley and America generally views Bitcoin as an investment vehicle, right? Not as a currency, not as a safe haven asset, not as a medium of exchange. They don't view those things because it's not necessary, because even with what's going on, America has the world reserve currency, right, as their currency, the United States dollar, right? So it's very easy. Cash is readily accessible. ATMs are everywhere. America doesn't view Bitcoin as what Bitcoin was really intended to be. People in America view Bitcoin as a tradable asset and a way to get rich and an investment vehicle, right? And that's not negatively wrong, not necessarily wrong. It certainly is those things, or can be those things. But when you're trying to make the fundamental case that Bitcoin was created, when you say in the same sense, like, I'm going to make so much money trading Bitcoin, and Bitcoin was created for situations like this, right? Where we have, basically quantitative easing infinity, which we're going to cover in a little bit when we get into the news, where we have, again, the Fed just printing money, the world in economic despair, jobs shutting down, unemployment rates high, and severe liquidity crisis because of the shortage of United States dollars, right? So everything that's going on, right? You guys have all heard the narrative. We're all at home. We're all furiously checking Twitter every 5 minutes. What else are you guys going to do? Hopefully do some free weight exercises and learn to code. That would be my recommendation. It's very, very interesting to see, because I talk to people that aren't in America, right? And make sure you guys go check out, this is really crystallized. Alex Gladstein did a really good job of crystallizing this. So after you guys watch this, if you haven't seen it yet, stay here on our YouTube channel and watch the interview between myself and Alex Gladstein from the Human Rights Foundation at San Francisco Blockchain Week 2019. And he really encapsulates the situation better. And again, where is the innovation coming in on Bitcoin? It's coming in around the edges. Where is the adoption coming in on Bitcoin? It's coming around the edges. The edges of the financial system, where it's necessary, where it reduces friction, all right? Somebody sitting in America right now doesn't need Bitcoin, right? But somebody in Venezuela certainly does, right? And that's where you're going to see the adoption, right? Now, let's take that in one hand and talk about, okay, is that going to fundamentally drive price up? For me, sitting in America, sitting in Australia, sitting in the European Union, sitting in the UK, right, where we have a relatively stable currency, where we have relatively stable governments, where we have relatively free flow of cash and liquidity, right? Even with everything that's going on, right? You cannot compare Venezuela liquidity and American, UK, Australian, Spanish. You can't compare those liquidities or accessibility to cash or store of value. You can't. Is that enough to stop the overwhelming amount of people who still view Bitcoin as a risk-on asset from selling into it, right? And of course, there's a lot of money to be made shorting Bitcoin. Certainly is. Certainly a lot of dollars. There's a lot of money to make trading it to the long side, but an equal amount of money to trade it to the short side, right? And again, let's just be real about this, right? Where could you have made money the absolute quickest? On candles like these, on candles like these. You'll see that it's kind of interesting. Generally, Bitcoin's kind of a weird asset where you get these, if you go back and you're like, okay, how many like ridiculously huge candles to the upside were there versus how many ridiculously huge candles to the downside were there? It's about 50-50, right? It's about 50-50, right? So, It just depends on your directional bias, I suppose, right? So you have some people that view Bitcoin like most people view the stock market, where it's long only, long all the time, buy the dip, any dip, doesn't matter, price is low, that's cheap, right? And I don't think that's the most healthy. I don't think that's the most healthy attitude to have trading Bitcoin, right? If you're going to hold Bitcoin, I recommend that you do that and hold Bitcoin and put some in a ledger and then trade responsibly, right? Trade from a cash perspective basis, right? Well, at least that's why I trade, right? I trade to pay my bills. I pay my bills in USD. So, that way you can hodl. That way you can hold for the long term, and you can trade responsibly and reasonably and hedge and short sell and do all these things, right? Because there's this whole other aspect of Bitcoin traders where generally these people trade other markets primarily, and they only trade Bitcoin to short sell it, right? Or maybe to take the occasional long, but they don't like holding Bitcoin or sitting in Bitcoin. Those are typically I don't want to say institutional players, but I want to say those are typically your Wall Street bet thugs, right? That's that kind of person, right? The person who would rather trade options on Tesla than going long on Bitcoin, for example, right? So maybe the people of Venezuela need some Dogecoin. I mean, they certainly need something. They certainly need something more than their currency. They anything, right? I mean, give them nebulous vision, for God's sakes. Give them something, man. So we looked at the monthly. Let's look at the monthly EMAs back on the Bitstamp chart. All right. Look, we were talking about holding the monthly 55, right? Lower downside target, 53.49. Overshot it, even if we go by the CME chart by 4,100, right? These things move, right? But we are back in the monthly level of demand. Lower level here is 59.20. Daily close below 59.20. We start to get concerned, right? Actually, I want to say weekly close. We want some confirmation. Weekly close below 59.20. I'm not going to feel good. I will be in a short on the daily, though, almost assuredly, if we close the daily below 59.20, just looking at where the baseline is. So again, I'll just do whatever the chart in front of me says. Weekly. I mean, nice bounce off the 200, right? We got the 200 SMA right here. Always got to double check. 200 small sitting at 55.60. We held it. We didn't even consolidate down there. We consolidated over there in 2019. We consolidated over here now. Now, again, I'm not going to lie. My discretion is telling me that we're going to go lower in Bitcoin's price. Okay, I'm just going to be, upfront and honest about that. I do feel like my trader instincts are yelling at me that we are going to go lower with Bitcoin's price, right? I do not feel discretionarily that the bottom is in. But you guys know me. I trade the chart in front of me, and I only take action when my system tells me to, right? So yeah, ZERP was built for Venezuela. Well, I don't know. I think, listen, the people of Venezuela deserve better than that. Okay, can we give them something better than that? Let's give them EOS. Come on, something, right? All right, so on the weekly, broaching 73.49 would be pretty interesting to see here if we can broach the upper level of this level of demand here. We can broach above. And again, I would expect a back test of that TRX, maybe TRX. I would expect a broach above that level, maybe a pullback into that level, and potentially off to the races. So let us not forget one critical thing. This is going to be important, right? Talked about this before. 1355, and this is why. This is leading into my bearish bias here. 1355 exponential moving average cross under on the weekly. We've talked about this before. Does this get you into the first half of a bear market? No, it gets you into the last half of a bear market, right? Now we have had this amazing movement to the upside. Thank you so much for the sub over there on YouTube, Gabriel. And I think GBU Wally tossed the $5. I'm sorry that I missed that, my friend. Let me take a look over here. Okay. Maybe I missed it. Oh, that must have been from last time. All right. 1355 exponential moving average cross under does not get you into the first half of a bearish trend, but it certainly gets you into the last half of the bearish trend. Now, if that plays out, we've talked about often when a weekly moving average cross under, when the secondary and tertiary baselines cross under on the weekly time frame, or when they cross up, you've got about 50% of the movement left, right? Got about 50% of the movement left. So if that's true, then that would be pointing price down to the 3000s, right? That would be pointing price back down to our previous level of accumulation in the lower 3000s, right? Maybe even lower, right? Because again, Bitcoin's a train. And once it gets started, because we are descending from a lower point, right? We are descending from a lower point, right? We are descending from a lower point than we did in 2019, right? 2019 all the way down to 3,500, and now we are descending from 12,000, right? So significantly lower. Okay. So let's see. Don't have guidance right now. Again, the current guidance right now is daily spot holding, and we'll see how this plays out moving forward. All right. So we talked about 54.15, 59.18, 59.18 here on the Bitstamp chart, a little bit higher over there on 59.21, I believe it was, over there on the ByBit chart. We talked about our daily EMAs. What are we coming up to and tapping right now? Very popular baseline to use for our strategies, 21 exponential moving average. So for some people watching tonight, they're going to be in a reversal baseline bounce, right? Analysts like Jason utilize the 13. We're closing above his baseline, but those utilizing the 21, they are honestly looking at a reversal baseline bounce with invalidation with a daily close above 67.11. Okay, so it all depends on what system you've optimized in your structure, right? In your strategy. Okay. Now for myself, I used the H60, closed above it definitively today, and broke the BB initiator. I don't know why we hopped over here. That's really not what I wanted to do. We'll get to zero hedge here in just a little bit, but clearly, I don't know if somebody logged onto my computer and said, hey, what is going on? Okay, I get it. Come on, man. If it happens again, I'm going to have to close that web page. All right, odd. All right, let's break down the 4-hour time frame. So here we are going to be looking at the daily baseline on the 4-hour time frame. Everything the same though. Everything the same. Everything the same. And let's set Minx to, of course, the daily time frame baseline filter of signals. All right. Zuhair Nakvi, thank you so much for the Aussie 5, my brother. He says, we've seen no bullish divergence on the daily yet. Does this affect your bias at all? Well, I would argue that we certainly have, maybe not on the RSI. Let's see here. Okay, so well, let me answer that question in two parts, right? So first off, I was looking at optimized Minx, which I'm not ready to show live yet, but I was looking at optimized Minx. We do have a little bit of bull div there. The other thing, and not on the daily, you are correct, on the 4-hour. The other thing, though, is that I would not expect us to have bullish divergence because after this candle, and we can see this. Okay, do you see how on this chart, we have a stretching of resolution, just like you would see if I pull up like XRP USD perpetual on BitMEX. Okay, it's not actually going to do it there, but you know, look, we can see it here. All right, so I'm zoomed in and the candles are resizing, and see how they just popped out because of the size of this candle, right? So obviously when you see something like that, you know that there was a massive movement. And we've talked about this before. We've talked about indicator reset. After a almost 40% down candle, something that was almost 6x the volatility of the current range, like we went over like 6x ATR on that candle, all of your oscillators are going to get thrown out of whack, man. They're all going to get thrown out of whack. They're just mathematical tools that crunch numbers, right? And we are just now kind of resetting, right? And it's taken Minx a long time to cross back up above the zero line here and cross and close above the zero, tracking price nicely. But I wouldn't be surprised to see divergence. How are you going to, it's almost nearly impossible. I would think that it's nearly impossible to see bullish div from up here. to down here because we haven't seen another low, right? So we won't see bullish divergence until we get a low, right? Again, you're also talking to somebody who does not use bullish div as my primary initiation. I think it can be, helpful, right? I think it can be helpful. But I do like your 6705 entry for the short. Now, again, if I'm being cheeky, right? If I'm being cheeky and letting you guys know, I averaged into a short over the weekend, right? Actually, it was Friday when I got filled on this candle. So I set limit bids. I currently have an average entry on my short at 6,700. Now, I'm not hedged. I am holding spot long, and I will be hedged back again with all of my BTC equity should we cross and close below the daily baseline. But again, my short, if my short plays out, right, we're in profit on my short right now. But I would like to see price descend back down here to the lower level, back to the baseline and up, right? Do I do price predictions of Bitcoin, for example, Bitcoin price 2023? I do not. No, I do not. Because nobody knows. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. So I'm not going to confuse you guys by throwing out those insane numbers. Okay, you talked me into it. 100,000, right? Easily 100,000. I mean, if you look at the, right, because that's what you're going to get, right? You're going to get, people are like, okay, well, no, I'm not. All right, you talked me into it. If you look at this trend line right here, long-term predictions are kind of silly. Certainly higher than the price is right now. But maybe not. I'm a trader. Let me tell you about where prices are going to go. Anyways, on the 4-hour. Yeah, a lot of people confused by the PA. I'm not going to lie. I see that, Zuhair, especially on Twitter, man. Particularly like this 4-hour candle right here. Which I saw somebody earlier in the chat say, well, that was clearly a stop loss hunt. I mean, yes, that certainly triggered a lot of stops. But typically when we say stop loss hunt, you would like, this is a stop loss hunt, right? Where price goes up, traps a lot of people and then crashes, right? Or like this wick, traps people and then goes up, right? Not really a good example there, but typically when you wick to the upside and then you just keep on marching up, we call that anybody who shorted that wick's getting liquidated, right? I thought they were really smart for a second, and then price just kept on going, and they were like, no, I thought I had a great entry. And we'll see if that's me here in a day or so, all right? That was a WTF was that hunt, right? Like, why did we just keep on climbing? Ken Masterist says, what's my opinion about paid crypto signal channels? So in general, we run an educational group where we do charge for premium members. In general, the reason why we started doing what we do is because of the lack of education, the lack of actual knowledge. You saw a lot of people who started trading Bitcoin in 2017, like, let's be real, make money. And then all of a sudden they're like, a technical analyst expert, right? They don't understand fundamentals. They don't understand risk. They don't know anything about other markets. They don't have really any experience in trading. They just learned about margin in 2019. And you got the blind leading the blind out there. Now there are some smart, educated traders out there, who I am sure run their own competing services and businesses, right? You have to kind of just take one on an individual level, right? In general, my rules for anything around this type, whether we're talking about mentors or following people on Twitter or paying for services, right? Which are valuable when you find the right group, right? Education is valuable. It can help jumpstart you and accelerate your knowledge. Indicators can help. Risk management is absolutely essential to learn, psychological discipline, and just being able to shadow and see how real traders operate, right? You really get a lot there that will take you a long time on your own typically, right? I learned how to trade by bashing my head against a wall and losing money for 3 years, starting back in the early 2010s, starting back in the early 2010s. And, it was rough. It was rough for a long time, man. But eventually I learned. So, case by case basis, right? If people don't post their results, if people do not talk about risk, if people don't talk about money management, if people, typically what you'll see a lot, unfortunately, is, people like be very sloppy with their trades or try to modify their trades. Well, hey, I kind of forgot to mention that I actually got filled here. Sorry. You stay away from that stuff. So, just, take your honest opinion with you. There's some good people out there. There's some good services out there. And I would be bereft if I didn't mention and recommend our own services because, we have several hundred members. We've got a very active community. And I think that people really enjoy the education and what they get from our community. Otherwise, they wouldn't be here. I certainly love it. Okay, good stuff. Somebody said, any thoughts on index futures right now? They're close to hitting limit up. Feeling a bit nervous about my SH and short healthcare sector ETF positions. Well, let's see. Let's see, right? I mean, we'll know as soon as the daily candle gets close to closing tomorrow, right? We do not know what's going to happen between here and there. Otherwise, we would trade the 15-minute chart, right? So it's possible that we get a rally, and it's possible that those trades are closed. That's why we manage our risk. That's why we position size the way that we do, because we've had a beautiful, beautiful run of honestly excellent trades since January, right? Had a couple losers, couple mismanaged trades. But overall, I mean, we've had nothing but string of winners, particularly in Forex. And I'm really, really excited about CFDs and ETFs. And so we'll see. We'll see what the market brings us. But we don't know any data, right? We don't know any data, right? We don't know until the daily gets close to closing tomorrow. But we will certainly look at ESs, right? And I will analyze. So on the 4-hour time frame, we are just getting Wadatar explosion, rising explosion level, and positive volume delta divergence. Good sign to see. Minks above the 0 line, parallax flipping and giving confirmation on the previous candle. Listen, a pullback here would not surprise me. After getting these initial signals, a pullback kind of reset and then a continued push would be nice because we have crept right back on up here. And the 4-hour would have us getting bearish below 57.27. The daily is going to be a little bit more conservative. The daily coming in at about 57.59, right? So a movement below here back to 5,700 and a close below that would have one hedging and looking for at-risk shorts, right? Looking for at-risk shorts. Do we have a chance to see Bitcoin at 7,200 before a major drop? That would be our next destination if we do not reject from here currently. Let's look at where Quadriga would be pointing at. ATR is really high, man. So we might even have to medium. What's going on with... Oh, there we go. Sorry. 73.93 from current levels, right? So let's just go measure. Again, there wasn't a at-risk long signal on yesterday's close. Was there an at-risk long signal on yesterday's close? So let's go take a gander. These lines off the chart. 73.54. 73.54. So let's see. Let's see what we get. I've been talking about Bitcoin for a long time. Here on the 15-minute daily baseline, did you really well? We've got, again, we broke this down the other day. Minks, daily baseline, parallax strategy, very, very, very powerful. Initial long signal right here. I mean, obviously, very good winner. Another long signal right here, nailed it. Long signal right here, double up here, nailed it. Continuation long here, continuation long here, continuation long here. So, I mean, you didn't have a single losing trade today. Not a single losing trade. Daily baseline and Minks, default settings, daily baseline, all 60. Go get some money. And we got a continuation long signal right here, right? This one's probably going to be a loser. Let's just be real, right? Let's be real. Okay? All day winning. A whole day of winning. It's almost 10 p.m. here in the central time zone. Close out the day with a loss. You're like, all right. Okay, time to go to bed. Right? So much winning. All right. Let's talk about Ethereum. Ethereum's significantly weaker, right? Although Ethereum on the daily just crossing above, which just goes to show you like significantly quantitatively how weaker Ethereum is right here. Ethereum has seen no expansion to the upside. Ethereum has stayed in this accumulation range, which just could be redistribution, right? So, you know, we've kind of gone back and forth on this. Like, do we view Ethereum as a leading indicator? Do we view Bitcoin as a leading indicator? That's going to depend on how on the back testing that you guys do. I know different guys who do it for different ways. But here on the daily, I mean, Ethereum looks, very weak to me. Minx hasn't crossed zero. Parallax is still bearish. That's the other thing that, of course, does concern me about Bitcoin, is that we still have negative parallax. So it's not a confirmed. There's no long signal, right? There's no long signal. But the signal to not hedge anymore. So really nothing to do here on Ethereum as far as I'm concerned. In fact, I'm going to be looking to short XRP-USD. All I'm doing on XRP-USD is grid trading right now. Just playing around with the new bot optimizations. Once those are done and been fully forward tested, we'll push them live. But not really doing much on XRP. Low risk, just basically automated range trading. Same for EOS, right? Very low risk. And because there's nothing positional to do. EOS, listen, again, same thing. 15-minute chart though, all day. Winning. Long signal here. Continuation long signal here. Boom, nailed it. Long signal. Basically, as you accumulate this range, and yeah, there's your take profit. Yeah, you're certainly hitting all these take profits. Long signal here, at a little bit of a pullback, but you do hit it, and a continuation long signal right here, and boop, you just nailed it. So a lot of good stuff. Did we stop on Twitch? Let me refresh Twitch. Cracking Cryptocurrency live on Twitch and DLive and YouTube. Let me throw some lemons in the chest over here for the DLivians. So we'll say we're tapping, you know, listen, looking across the majors again. Feeling like a pullback. But again, not hedge, spot long. Let's see. Am I live on Univision? I am not, Mr. Canetta. But we are live on television. If you guys have the Investor News Channel app, streaming live on Roku. Shout out to the partners. So we broke down the Bitcoin continuation signal in the 15-minute, the all day of winning on EOS, Ethereum, Bitcoin. I'm looking for a better entry. I am short, have been short XRP, BTC, EOS, BTC. I exited. Now listen, I got a lot of groans. When I sold my Litecoin, right? A lot of groans when I sold my LTC, BTC. All right, listen, nobody's groaning now. We'll come back to that. Now, the CME futures, extremely interesting, right? So if we view the CME futures as a cleaner depiction of Bitcoin's price, we have some confluence here with the bearish narrative, right? So let's look at the CME chart. Again, here's the Minx exit signal, right? The optimized Minx that'll be published very soon for premium members. All right, listen, here on the CME chart, has Minx crossed zero? No. Are we above the explosion level on Wadatar? No. Is Parallax bearish? Yes. Are we still below the baseline? Yes, the same baseline that on the spot markets we are above. We are just coming up to it. So what is the CME future telling us that we might actually have? Reversal baseline bounce, right? That is why, listen, that's why I still have my at-risk short open, right? I'm hedged, I'm unhedged, spot long on Bitcoin with an at-risk short on, right? And honestly, and this is the nice thing about being a premium member and understanding our risk management and understanding hedging, if you go and look at all my open positions, you'll see at how well risk is managed, right? Again, my Forex trades traded my account back after taking a loss. And now my risk is adequately managed with long and short positions across multiple markets, not only in cryptocurrency, but also in traditional and also in Forex, right? This is what it means to be diversified, right? So if Bitcoin dumps, it doesn't really matter, right? Because we trade other markets, right? We're in different assets. We have liquidity across different exchanges, different sectors, different markets. And that's the ultimate goal, right? It's the ultimate goal. It's to profit on BTC and accumulate more and boost our capital gain by holding equity in BTC for which we trade BTC, and also learning how to take profit, set it aside as investments, trophy investing, all of these things that we talked about. I want to give people a good, firm foundation to be set up for the rest of their life for success. But the CME chart is very interesting here because we have the baseline at 69.95, right? So like right there, 69.85, 7,200, the upper boundary of the baseline is at 71.55. So we could certainly see a wick to 7,200, which would be my final fill for my BTC short. And I think that's going to be a beautiful fill. So if we don't see a pullback there to 6,000, I'll be pretty surprised. Now, again, I'll make more money on the way up with the BTC USD spot long. Maybe I'd just be a little salty. But it's just another trade. But the CME chart, actually really interesting. So definitely something to consider when you guys are back testing. Maybe try the CME chart. Good historical data. And certainly back test it for quite a while. 2018 to 2020, which is where we back test. All right. That's enough of that. Let's go look at traditional markets. All right, ugly day for the SPY, ugly day for the NQs, ugly day for the Dow, ugly day for the Dixie. Good day for gold, good day for silver. We talked about this. Whatever on Bentley Crude. 5-year T-notes. Do I believe in the NRA and the Second Amendment? I don't know about the NRA. I don't really like, institutions. And honestly, I'm just not super educated on what the NRA does. I'm a firm believer in the Second Amendment, though, man. Hell to the yes. I do not like government, man. I am a libertarian, my friend. All right, let's look at the SPY. You're welcome, sir. All right, SPY, maintaining its bearish bias. It is not even in a no trade zone until we close above 241.95. All right. Water tower explosion, still bearish divergence. Now we did get the Minx exit signal, right? Now we'll go look at SH here in just a little bit where we got a continuation long. Not getting the continuation short on SPY, flat on SPY. I don't want anybody regulating food production. I think the free market would do it better and cleaner and cheaper and safer and faster. Yeah, you're absolutely right. You show me some good hard evidence that government regulation of food actually makes it safer, cleaner, or better, and we'll talk. Is there any indicator that would have you foresee the hourly candle that took us from 5,800 to 6,300 last night when every indicator was pointing down? Well, you're asking for an indicator to be predictive. The answer is yes. Certainly there is some indicator somewhere that would have given you some signal that you could have interpreted with a discretionary strategy or even a pure objective, if this then that strategy. For example, divergence, volume, exchange inflows, outflows, certainly somewhere. Something somewhere, yes. Do I know what it is off the top of my head? No. Do you need that indicator to be profitable? No. Because this is something I cover a lot, right? I make, and the group makes, the people who just follow the rules and do what they're supposed to do, right? The way that I've laid things out. I typically make more consistent profit than most traders that I meet, right? In cryptocurrency. And it is because they are obsessed with being right and catching movements. And I just literally just take the signals that my system gives me, right? I just take the signals that my system gives me. I don't care if I'm right or if I'm wrong. I don't feel any certain way about a trade. I don't need to know anything that I don't know. It's because that's not a rabbit hole I want to go down. I am as optimized as I need to be, brother. SPY. Watching SPY for the ETF confirmation of the continuation short, which will happen if we get this nice, oh, hey, that's super weird. I don't like that. Don't like that at all. Wow. Okay, so that's not going to work on a black background. All right, which is going to happen if we get this cross under right here, which right now is not confirmed. I thought that was going to be a lot cooler than it was, but it's like, I have to like mess with this tool. Is there a way that I can like not have it be black? on a black background? Anybody? All right, gonna need a new Chrome extension for that one. Hopefully it showed up in the live chat though. Parallax still bearish. Minx still very, very, very bearish. Wadatar still very, very, very bearish, right? Again, 241.95 is going to give us an interesting kind of edge-to-edge trade right here, back up to the baseline. Okay, you see how gnarly it is here on the... Give us this edge-to-edge trade up to the daily baseline right here. You know, I just can't do it, man. I can't do it, I'm sorry. I'm just going to get rid of this. Tied that all the way down there. Oh my God. Justin, you're messing it up for everybody. Recommended equipment for being a premium member. A laptop and a TradingView subscription, my brother. And an internet connection. Yep. Your brain and a computer. Heck, Da Vinci does this all from a mobile. So I don't know how he does that. That dude nails trades. He's just got a phone. That dude be like, I just shorted Bitcoin. He's like hanging out a bus, you know, sending a selfie. Systems trading, man. Love it. All right, back on track. It's almost 10:01. All right, same on the Qs. Listen, man, this is ugly. And, you know, we had D-Day here on the Qs today, man. Didn't do anything, man. Didn't do anything. So again, similarly on the Qs, could we see a movement up here to 179.45? Yes, that would be our current kind of rejection area, right at the continuation filter. Crossing, closing above that, potential to go back up here to the 190 area. But I'm just cautioning you guys. Again, I don't think there is... Yeah, everybody knows that, man. The more trading screens you have, the more you make it look like a movie, the more money you make. You know, listen, it's going to be a while. There has got to be... I'm going to need to see Satoshi Nakamoto himself to convince me that any rally in traditional markets right now is not an opportunity to get short. Right? Now, we do want to be cautious. There can be some pretty big green candles. This is why we manage risks. This is why we set our stop loss. This is why we trade responsibly, right? Again, you know, getting into this move on SH, I had to reposition a few times, right, to short this market. I had to reposition a few times. And, you know, I took some L's, right, to finally get the entry that stuck. And I've talked about this over and over again. Trading is like boxing, right? You're throwing a jab, you're throwing a jab, you're throwing a jab. You find the opening, and then you come with that right cross, right? You come with that cross. And that is what makes up for it. The crosses make up for it. Because we let our winners run. We let our winners run, right? So we take, you know, break evens are small L's, break evens are small L's, small wins, break evens, and then we get a good one. You lost me at responsible. My audio is repeating. I certainly hope not. Bye. All right. The Dow, no different. Dixie had a little bit of a pullback today. Gold spot continuing to rally. Silver as well. We talked about this with silver. Let's see if there's anything tradable. Listen, there's not. We're not quite there yet on silver. In fact, be looking at 1496 for a potential pullback. Again, I think that we are going to see more downside in just about everything. Discretionarily, even in gold, even in Bitcoin, is my estimation and opinion at this time. Until such time as we invalidate gold, we're going to have some knowledge here in just a couple of days, right? We are almost there. Here's the daily baseline, 1595. Now, we do need to get all the way up here. We've got some work to do on gold. Beautiful rally off the bottom on gold, right? So we're going to see. Coming up to the perfect RBB area, I would be setting limit sells between this area right here on ZAO USD. Similarly on gold, same thing. right here at 15 to 1550 pocket. Brent crude, I'm not touching this. I actually would not be surprised to see not a big candle, but like a little bit of baby stair stepping right back, maybe back up to like right here. Such great advice. Had to hear it twice. Looking at the overnight T markets, look at the overnight futures. SPY having a nice rally. Again, they say Bitcoin's not correlated. Qs rallying as well. E-minis, E-mini Russells, VIX kind of just hanging out. Euro dollar on the way to the upside. Look at this rally in gold. Beautiful. Look at this rally in silver. Beautiful. Let's see what happens come the morning. Yeah, we'll see here in a little bit. Actually, probably by the time the London Open occurs. See, this is I hate these items. Liquidity's right there. See if we can overcome that. You can see that same liquidity right here, right here, right here, right here, right here. But if we overcome that, I would actually expect us to push higher. Same on the Qs. We've actually already overcome that area of liquidity. Yeah. Much more pronounced in the ESs. All right, now we're going to talk about the decoupling here in just a second. Actually, I think that's probably what we'll get into right now. I want to talk about the decoupling. Yeah, let's just do it. Let's just get into that. Because we've been on the charts for like an hour. Other things to keep your eyes on, guys. Listen, I talked about all this tonight in my analysis that went out to the members. Watch commodities right now, watch bonds, and watch your ETFs, guys. Watch your ETFs. There's a lot. I mean, there's so much opportunity out there. All right, guys, give me like 1 minute to set up for the news, and we'll be right back, guys. Before we go, don't forget, 4-week, 1 month, 30 days trading competition, guys. 0.33 Bitcoin prize pool. Could be one BTC if enough people sign up. Doesn't matter. Link is in the description. You guys can go over to ByBit, reg.crackingcryptocurrency.com. Doesn't cost anything to enter. Come trade with us for the next month. Show off your skills in the order book on the leaderboard. You guys can see the leaderboard at bybitboard.crackingcryptocurrency.com. Really excited for that. Hopefully, I see you guys there. Also, if you guys are watching on YouTube, make sure to smash the like button. Really helps out with the algorithm because they're already just, you guys know how it is. It's hard out here. It's hard out here on YouTube. But again, subscribe, turn on notifications. If you guys want to know when we go live every single day, Twitter and Instagram, links in the description down below for everything you could possibly need in life. We'll be right back in 30 seconds. Don't go anywhere. All right, guys. So let's look at the Forex calendar and really the upcoming economic events that are coming up this week. So we want to talk about things that we want to be aware of. Obviously, the thing that everybody is talking about, the Fed announcement today, absolutely throwing the entire kitchen sink at the economy. This is not just, absolute, commitment to rebuy as many instruments of debt as you could possibly imagine to inject as much liquidity. The clip going around on the internet, you guys have all seen it. That there's an infinite amount of cash at the Federal Reserve. We'll make sure that people have money no matter what. Basically, just telling us, yes, absolutely, we're going to see inflation of the currency, quantitative, basically infinity. And listen, the repercussions of this are going to be felt for years. The economy is going to suffer from this for years. It's not just the money. It's not just the injection of capital. It's not just the incompetence of government. It is also obviously the economic impact of the coronavirus, the results of isolation, the unemployment that's going to be caused. You guys are going to see unemployment skyrocket across the world. There's no pulling that back. Government doesn't have the power at their disposal to V-bottom us out of anything. Injecting more liquidity into the system is not going to help. We'll talk about exactly why that is here in just a second. So what I would be watching for on Thursday, we're going to get the unemployment claims coming out of the United States, right? Now keep your eye on this. Again, this is going to be a foretelling, a forecasting of what is going to continue to come, a sign of what's to come, what we're going to continue to see. Now, over in the land of America here, referencing Zero Hedge, we've got Trump coming out in his announcement. He just did another one. He just did a presser this evening. Where he says, we're going to be, releasing this kind of restriction on travel and movement sooner than we thought in 3 to 4 months. The Japanese Prime Minister Abe saying the world is not ready to host the Olympics. We are likely not going to see the Olympics. I believe that's the first time we will ever not have the Olympics, right? If that happens, it will be the first time, I think, ever, please correct me on that, where we do not have the Olympics. Goes to show you the actual impact of this. United Kingdom issuing stay-at-home orders. India, this is just now starting to hit India. Of course, we have analysts in India, and this is just starting to hit home for them as India begins to restrict travel, begins to restrict movement. They've banned international flights. The National Guard has been sent to New York, California, and Washington. And of course, this massive monetary stimulus package, not just from the government, but also the Fed promising to purchase back votes. And again, the way that Tyler has worded this, perhaps realizing that facing down a second Great Depression, it's here. It's here. Now let's talk about the, let's see here. Here we go. Let's talk about the latest proposal. From the federal government of the United States on their relief. This comes from Bloomberg. We're going to be talking about $1,500 in aid per individual, as much as $7,500 for a family of 5. They're creating this federal pandemic unemployment compensation of $600 a week for any worker affected by the virus and eligible for unemployment compensation benefits, expanding paid leave and family medical leave, aiming to help current borrowers with student debt. Now, I don't know, we'll get into this in just a second, right? But I don't understand this. I certainly don't want to underplay the importance of student loan debt, but generally I talk to a lot of people. I've helped a lot of people with finance and investment, right? And budgeting. I'm a financial minimalist, right? So again, this typically all starts, the best place to start trading, the best place to start investing is taking a good look at your current finances, getting your loans consolidated, getting to a good place of financial stability, making sure that you have enough income coming in, making sure that you have a good habit of setting money aside for emergency fund, making sure that you establish emergency fund, making sure that you have cash on the sidelines to take advantage of deals, making sure that you are diversified, cutting down on your spending. All of these things are absolutely vital, making sure that you have liquidity and good credit. These are all important things to have for anybody, particularly a trader, right? But I don't know, generally, student loan debt, in my experience, right? And I know that I'm going to get pushback on this, but student loan debt, in my experience, is one of the easiest things to kind of solve and have. I don't know a lot of people that are suffering from having to make payments on student loan debt, right? I'm certain that they are out there, but just in my personal life, I don't talk to those people a lot. So I don't really understand this obsession with this student loan debt. Businesses, small businesses are suffering, right? And there's this massive pushback on supporting businesses. Now, I certainly think that larger businesses should have, we're going to see who manages their money well, right? We're going to see who manages their money well. But it is an undeniable fact that if you run a small business, if you have invested your life savings into a barbecue joint or a restaurant or a financial analysis company or any kind of self-help company, anything like that, I mean, you are going to be devastated from this because your money is going to dry up and you are going to go out of business, right? I don't think that people are going to go out of business for making student loan payments. Again, it's certainly not a good thing. I'm certainly against the institutionalization here of student loan debt. I think that it is a huge sham and a huge evil, but I don't understand this obsession, this focus on, helping people who have student loan debt out at the expense of absolutely companies and businesses that are going to go out of business because they don't have customers anymore, right? And I think that that is going to cause a lot more suffering. It's going to cause a lot more suffering. All right, $500 billion in grants, interest-free loans to small businesses. The only problem with that is who qualifies, right? Who qualifies? Who gets to choose who qualifies, right? And calls to ensure states can carry out this year's election. Of course, that's a priority because, got to bang our domestic drums here. All right, now cash relief to families certainly is going to help in the short term. And I've said this before, I'm not against it. I mean, I'm against the Fed's intervention from a place of principle, but it is what it is, right? This is the system that we have. And it is, it's a good thing to do, right? It's not a terrible thing to do, but that's only going to help in the short term. It is not a long-term solution to the underlying problem. The government cannot just subsidize individuals to sit and stay at home longer than, I mean, honestly, they can't even do it for a month. They can't do it for a month, right? The effects will be felt, right? So they certainly can't do this for 2 months. They certainly cannot do this for the gavel and hammer or hammer and sickle or whatever they're talking about. That's communism, but type of approach to the coronavirus that is being that is quite popular. And this involves a lot of social distancing. This involves a lot of lockdown. And again, I've seen the numbers, I've studied the graphs, but it's just people are really, really, really going to hurt from this. Really going to hurt from this, right? Now, the government injecting cash into people's paycheck, bank accounts is not going to help, right? The free market spurns activity, and that's taken a huge hit. So, in my opinion, what needs to happen is I think that you're actually going to see a huge wave of entrepreneurs come out of this, right? We are all connected now through the internet. The internet is all that is required now to conduct business. All you need is a bank account or a way to receive transactional money. And Bitcoin solves this, right? So with knowledge and skill and the ability to provide value over the internet remotely and the ability to utilize Bitcoin or another cryptocurrency or again, PayPal, Venmo, cash, there's all kinds of things. There's all kinds of ways to receive payments. I think you're going to see a huge wave of entrepreneurs come out of this because the free market, when it is unleashed upon the world, it solves problems. And this is a fantastic opportunity for individuals to, in my opinion, start a business they've always wanted to, right? Again, this is a tragedy for individuals that have consumer-based, all tourism-related things. Disneyland is going to take a hit for the next 2 years, minimum, right? Maybe even 4 years, maybe longer, right? But places like that, restaurants, all of these things, they're going to take a hit. But those who have coding skill, those who have online skill, and I think that those who have financial skill, right? Which is what we focus on: technical analysis, financial fundamentals, good budgeting, understanding how the financial markets work and how to preserve capital and how to actually push against the curve of the majority of fund managers out there and professional investors and money managers who you call Fidelity and you're like, hey, manage my money. Call your Fidelity money manager right now and ask how your investment's doing. And then tell them you want to short the market, right? And I bet you they tell you that you can't do that. I bet you they tell you if they allow you to do it, they might not even allow you to do it. But if they do allow you to do it, they are going to tell you that is the absolute worst thing, that this is the best time to buy. They're all going to say that because they don't understand that most of these people have never been through a bear market, right? Which we are undeniably in right now, right? The free market is what generates activity, and that's taking a huge hit. So what you're hearing from government, what you're beginning to hear from government is, in my opinion, the subtle acknowledgement that they are completely unable to fix this problem. They are talking as if the pieces can be put back together, no problem. And it won't. It can't. Government does not have the levers at their disposal, at least not our government, right? Because all they can do is inject cash into the system, and that's not going to fix anything without a free market, without commerce, without business, right? And business is essentially shut down right now. There's no business, right? So, let's see here. I think I just want to stick to this. All right, so we talked about the Democratic counterproposal right now is equal to about $2.5 trillion, 1,500 direct payments. We talked about the funding, $80 billion in loans. We broke it down here on Bloomberg. Now, the other thing there to consider is that the reason, the reason why people have so little faith in the Fed's bullets right now is something that senior analyst Alex pointed out so succinctly over the last few weeks, is that the government inflated the stock market over the 2010s, right? We went up the stock market. Let me rephrase. The stock market went up almost 50% in 2 years. What caused that to happen, right? Did we cure cancer? Did we discover, interstellar space travel? Did we have some did we figure out AI in a way that isn't Terminator style? No, we didn't do any of that, right? So why did the market go up so much in such a short period of time? Monetary manipulation from the Fed. Monetary manipulation from the Fed. That's why. All right. So again, we can, we're apolitical on this channel, so we can go back and forth between what's good and what's right, or what side of this argument that you're on, right? There's obviously a lot of, heated rhetoric coming out, people on the left and people on the right arguing about what's the best right. Obviously, what the GOP wants to do is evil. What the Democrats want to do is evil. Listen, I don't think there's really a time or a place for that. I think that regardless of how you feel, I think that largely these efforts are not going to land where either side wants them to, right? Government intervention here is not going to land where we want it to. It's not going to have the results that we want, but we're going to have to deal with it, right? What I'm concerned about, and we have to talk about these realistic things, right? Because regardless of what side of the aisle you stay on, you have to be concerned with the pork that legislators will attempt to fit into the bill. There's a saying, right? Never let a good crisis go to waste, right? So let's go over some of the holdups, right? Now, obviously, this is being, I want to be apolitical here, but this is all that I can kind of pull up. Obviously, we've got the same thing. I'll cover the same thing on the other side of the aisle here in just a little second. But in the counter proposal, things that the Democrats are asking for in the current coronavirus relief bill are corporate board diversity, college debt relief, election auditing, canceling the debt of the Postal Service, same-day voter registration, requiring airlines to offset their emissions, funding for community newspapers, free internet, $100 million for NASA's Environmental Restoration Group, mandatory paid sick leave for every single business. That's not going to work, right? If you force small businesses to pay for sick leave, they will just fire the employees. Most of them will just furlough the employees, right? Because they can't afford it. It's not going to work. Hiding the citizenship status of college students from the Census Bureau. Now, again, these are all larger topics that we can certainly debate, and this is not the time for that, right? Just get the aid, inject the money into the medical system. That's where the money needs to be. And my estimation is that, okay, giving the money to people in the short term certainly will help, and then do everything you can to unleash the free market on radically raising the bar of medical availability up, right? Because eventually people are going to go back to work. Eventually people are going to go and start living life, right? Because there's going to be a point where people are like, listen, I'm not just going to stay here unemployed and broke with no hope. I'm going to go out. I'm going to the bar, right? So people are going to go out, right? All this kind of, this idea of social distancing might work if there was a very easy way to keep the economy humming along while people worked from home. But for a large majority of citizens, that's just not going to happen. They have lost their jobs. They're going to lose their jobs. Businesses are going to go out of business, right? So it's very, very, very hard to get people to submit to this idea of community social distancing, what's good for the community, which again is important, right? Again, those who have the ability should do everything they can, right? To stay at home, to respect social distancing. If you have the ability and means, I'm just being realistic here. A lot of people can't and won't. So eventually people are going to go out of their homes and they're going to go back to work. And then this thing is just going to start spreading again, right? So we can do everything we can to flatten the curve. But the most critical thing in my estimation is radically raising the bar of medical availability of things like ventilators, ICU beds, and hospital availability, right? I'd like us to go back to a world. I'd like us to eventually go out into a world where if you get sick, right, you go to the hospital and you have a good chance of living, and not there is no ICU bed, there is no hospital bed for you to go to, and you die at home on your couch, right? I don't want to live in that world, right? And I think that we have a good chance of avoiding that significantly, because the only thing that I'm seeing right now, the only solution that people can come up with is that we just have to stay home and lock down, right? And that will certainly help, right? You will lower that RO ratio quite a bit. You can flatten the curve that way. But a lot of people aren't going to do that. A lot of people aren't going to do that and won't do that. So you have two options, right? One, complete government is that you get things like what we're going to talk to about here in a minute, with the government wanting to essentially suspend habeas corpus, right? So you have this being carried out by fiat authority with the strength of the federal government. That is the military, right? That is the military, because that's what will be necessary to corral this. That's what will be necessary in our country to do this, is military force eventually. And the other option that you have, the better option, in my opinion, because that option is not, that option's terrifying, right? That option is horrible. The other option that you have is put money into the free market. Let the free market do its thing, right? Radically increase the number of ventilators, radically increase the number of ICU beds, radically, incentivize the training of nurses, doctors, right? I mean, doctors are VIPs right now. They are MVPs, right? For every doctor that goes down, I mean, we're losing lives, right? So you have to radically, just again, you can tell my political bias. I'm sure you have to cut regulation, right? You have to do everything possible to get the people that can to the place where they can do it, right? And that is, again, there are all kinds of restrictions on medical expansion, on ICU beds. There are restrictions on production. Do everything possible, right? The government has the money and the power to do that, or at least contribute to that. Locking us down and throwing cash at us is not, it's not going to cut it, guys. It's not going to cut it. What is the plan, right? Because I have not heard square one from government. Again, I'm just like you guys. I've been home all day watching Twitter, watching the news, seeing what's going on, and I haven't heard square one from any government about that, right? What is the plan, right? How are you going to increase ventilators? How are you going to increase ICU beds? How are you going to incentivize people to help the medical sector? How are you going to do that? Where is the money for that? Where is the money going to that? Specifically break it down. No plan. There's no plan. It's terrifying. But listen, being very consistent about this, we are going to get through this, right? We are going to get through this, right? And we'll be okay, right? Get through this together. This isn't going to destroy the world. It's just going to make things very, very difficult. It's going to fundamentally change the way we live life for quite some many years to come, right? And I want people to be ahead of that and aware of that so that they can adapt and be ahead of the curve, right? So have a valuable skill. Learn to market yourself. Learn to be a financial minimalist. Get your budget in control. Find a way to make money. Be good at the markets. I think all of that is going to be absolutely critical. Because if you're not good at the markets, if you do not understand, if you're not financially literate, which is what we focus on, if you're not financially literate, you are going to fall for the same stuff that everybody else that is not watching this channel right now falls for out there, right? Which is the stimulus package is going to take care of this. The money's going to take care of this. The government has a plan. They don't. They don't. You need to make a plan that protects you and yourself and your family and puts you in the best situation for success possible, because those options are out there. This is not dire, grim, dystopian future, right? This is just, man, things are pretty crappy right now. I really gotta have a good plan right now. You gotta have a good plan. You gotta be ahead of the curve. All right. Now, and again, it's the other thing here, of course, that I'm concerned about is is not the direct threat of government expansion, right? Not that boot, all right, that I talked about, right? Not that the boot's going to come down now. But the other thing, with the same thing with government pork, is that every little step that government takes into our lives, we get more comfortable with them being closer. Then they take another step. And then they take another step, right? Everybody thinks that it's just going to be one day. You see all these dystopian things, right? Like one day, the mask will be revealed and the Illuminati lizard lords will stand atop the throne. It's not going to go down like that, right? Because the Illuminati lizard lords don't exist, right? That's not reality. Okay, that's not the real world. What is the real world is power dynamics and control and human greed, infallibility, and centralized systems, which always tend toward entropy, always tend toward command and control and managing more resources and pulling more things in and exerting more influence over the personal lives of citizenry. That's how it always happens. That's how it's always happened throughout history. We got a chance. We have a very educated and connected and brave populace, right? We do. I meet awesome people every single day. We get a real chance here, man. We get a real chance to make history. The more people who are not financially literate, who are not historically literate, who don't see what's going on, it's just one more, one more kick in the can, man. All right, so by the way, in the steepest decline that we've ever seen in a market ever, SH just signaled another buy signal, right? So, also, the UK monetary policy coming out the same day as unemployment claims on Thursday from the UK. So keep your eye on that for the British pound for my Forex traders out there, right? Now, again, I don't have as much. Listen, I don't have as much to pick on the GOP here about. I don't. I'm sorry. I'm sure you guys send me more. I'll certainly blast at them down. Let me know in the comment section. But I don't know if I have the tweet here, but $450 billion of the Mnuchin slush fund is exempt from disclosure, right? So that's certainly not cool. I mean, I don't trust $450 billion discretionarily, just like helicopter out however you want. Certainly not okay with that. Certainly not cool with that, right? Zuhair Nakvi, thank you so much for the 5 Aussie. Let me answer your question in the Q&A. And Forex Meister, thank you so much for the 300 bits, my brother. And on the issue of purchasing long-term corporate debt, this gets really tricky, right? So money into the free market is not a bad thing at this point in time, right? There are a ton of distressed companies and giving them the cash, giving them money, right? If you're going to give people money, give businesses money so that they can hire on employees and let people do things, right? That's what generates economic activity and goods and services, right? Which will reduce inflation, right? The more money you print without a resultant increase in goods and services equals inflation, right? The more goods and services you're able to output while increasing the monetary supply lowers that burden, right? But we're talking, I mean, the amount of money that they're going to print is sick, man. But the problem here is who gets to decide what corporations get bailed out, right? Who gets to decide? Who gets to decide? Do I get to decide? Do you get to decide? Do we get to vote on it? No, we don't, right? Well, they represent their electorate. No, they don't. No, they don't. No, they don't. No, they don't. All right, so long rant. So, sorry, here it is. $450 billion that, well, and it's gone, but it was there. It was certainly there, right? Okay. Now, Bitcoin and gold dramatically outperformed the S&P 500 on the Fed's QE Infinity news. This is what I want to talk about now. So this is coming from Long Hash. All right. So, Monday morning, the Federal Reserve's Open Market Committee, funny, around the office, we typically call it the FOMO, right? It's the FOMC, right? But yeah, we call it the FOMO. Reveal its intent to purchase any number of securities, right? To help support the flow of credit to households and businesses, okay? I want you guys to pay attention to this. What the Fed is saying is it's willing to purchase any value of securities, unlimited purchasing of debt, right? Because again, the Federal Reserve purchases securities, right? Financial securities, and in return gives cash, right? This is how money is injected into the monetary system. This is how the repo market works, right? Banks give securities when the system needs liquidity. Banks sell securities to the Federal Reserve, right? And promises to repurchase them back at a higher price. The Fed in turn gives them cash, allows them to take care of their liquidity crisis. Later on, they repurchase the security back for a higher price, right? Then there's the reverse repo, which is the exact opposite, right? Okay. The Federal Reserve gives securities in return for cash. and then gives the cash back and takes back security. This is how the Federal Reserve, following the 2008 financial crisis, has more directly affected the liquidity of dollars in circulation, right? With repo and reverse repo, right? There's a couple other things, but those are the big ones, okay? All right, so they are willing to buy treasuries, mortgage-backed securities, of course, the collateralized debt obligations and all those things that crashed the market back in 2008, corporate debt, municipal or state debt, to stabilize the economy, even if it means trillions of dollars worth of purchase. This is in addition, listen, this is in addition or subsidiary to what the government wants to do, right? Now, moments after this was announced, everything rallied. Equities, gold, Bitcoin, crude oil, poof, pop, right? The investors seemingly comprehending the Kiwi Infinity announcement, right? How only two assets have held their gains so far, and that is Bitcoin and gold sustained rallies, right? This article goes on to talk about being on the cusp of a split between two types of assets, those that will just continue to go down in value in the face of infinite cash, and those that were designed to be deflationary, Bitcoin and gold, right? Bitcoin and gold. All right, so we're going to get into Willy Woo's comments here, where he says, seeking the decoupling, here's where we are in the timeline compared to the 2008 banking crisis, a decoupling of safe havens from equities, showing hints it may have begun, i.e. when Bitcoin and gold go bullish and stay bullish, right? We'll have more confirmation in a week. So there's a couple charts here. This is back in 2008, the financial crisis. Here we can see that the S&P 500 is making a downturn, and gold, just as in now in 2020, gold and Bitcoin and everything else makes a flight for liquidity. So anything that's risk on is sold for cash because cash is king, right? So cash is king. So people get scared and people sell all their assets and they sit in cash because they think that the end of the world is coming, right? Because they don't know what's coming. Fear leads to selling, right? Fear generates panic selling, right? So we can see this is back in 2008. This is the financial crisis. We can see that gold and the S&P 500 begin tumbling simultaneously. And then we can see the decoupling right here. This is toward the end of October. We can pull this up on the weekly chart, but this is toward the end of October 2008. I think it's actually October 27th was the weekly close. I've studied this. And we can see that gold goes sideways for almost 2 months. Right? And then begins rallying, makes a higher low on the weekly. All right, this is the daily, but makes a higher low on the weekly, and then continues its charge and never goes down. And you can see what the S&P 500 does. It just starts to inversely move. Now, one very important thing to note when looking at this, is it doesn't just happen overnight, right? Like gold just doesn't start, flying off to the races, right? It doesn't just start flying off, but it decouples, right? And the S&P 500 continues to decline, traditional markets continue to decline, and gold holds its value. So again, is something very, very, very interesting to note, right? Even when earlier in this month, when I took a pretty good sized loss, right, trading, even when I did that, I still outperformed the market, right? I still outperformed the market by managing risk and trading multiple markets, right? And I have since traded that back up. So it's been an interesting month and just so critical to understand outperforming and holding your value in something that is relatively stable, right? And again, my portfolio, which is not even associated with my trading, is very representative. Again, foreign currencies, cryptocurrency, precious metals, my SH ETF, which I consider part of my portfolio right now, and even the individual stocks that I have selected have held their value better than the market standard than the S&P. And sometimes that's not bad trading, right? Obviously, there's so much opportunity to make money in these markets right now when they're going down. Don't feel bad about that. Be proud, be happy. Because listen, if you have to choose what side of the aisle that you want to be on, those who are on the wrong side, who aren't proactive, who are reactive, who don't understand, who aren't financially literate, and the side where we know what's up and we make money no matter what market we're trading in, I know 100% where I want to be. And I know exactly what side I am on. So a lot of people are going to feel bad for making money when people are suffering. And yes, it's certainly bad. And there's a lot of things that you can do personally to try to help out. Not the world. You can't solve the world, but you can certainly make things better in your local society, in your family, in your household. Focus on that first. Be a good person. Do the best that you can with what is sitting in front of you. Do that, right? But you don't have to sacrifice here, right? Because everybody else is suffering. You don't have to do that, right? Do what's good for you, right? Again, something very critical to point out, right? We wander sideways here in gold for almost 2 months, right? I mean, we wander sideways in gold for almost 2 months, right? And then we have a nice rally. We come back down. We test the highs here, as you can guys see right here. Let me get my, let me see this here. Actually, let me get, you can see here, we wander lazily around for about, it's really a month, right? And we have this nice rally to the upside, and then we come down and we retest previous resistance as support, and it's off to the races. And again, you can see we test previous resistance as support right here, and it's off to the races. And we test previous resistance as support, and it's off to the races, right? And so the question here is, are we going to see the same thing in Bitcoin, right? So here we got the decoupling, this purple line right here. Here's the flight to liquidity. Everybody sells into cash, everything, stocks, gold, precious metal, toilet paper. I'll tell you, people think people were hoarding toilet paper. More like stores were selling all their toilet paper. No, okay, maybe no. It's too soon. All right, sorry. All right. All right. Anyways, sorry, I need to find out where my little drawer thingy is. Okay, here we go. We're getting closer. And now look at where we are right here. Here is the kind of dotted line right here, and we can see Bitcoin, gold, and gold moving to the upside as the S&P continues to move down. So again, this is very early data. One thing that I want to make sure that people fully understand is that this is not some kind of Bitcoin's just going to go right off, just fly right off, and if you don't buy now, you're going to miss it. I don't think so. I think you've got plenty of time to buy at lower prices. But just again, something important to keep in mind. Let's clear these drawings and just kind of look at the rough trajectory of what gold did. Of course, Bitcoin's going to be far more volatile. But gold establishes itself in this nice range. And what do we see right here? I want to point that out. What do we see right there? We talked about this a lot. So for those who understand Wyckoff theory, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about right here. In an accumulation period. All right, what do you see? So let's see where we're at right now, right? We establish a low. We come up and we're going to establish a high. Come back down. We form a higher low. Oh, we're going. And then what do we get? What is that called? It's called a spring, right? It's called a spring. It's Wyckoff theory. And we come up. Sometimes we do this, and we jump the bridge at some point, right? Okay. There we go. Alex nailed it. Of course, Alex knew that. That is a spring. That is a Wyckoff spring as a part of accumulation and distribution. So be prepared, right? So when people say we can see 3K Bitcoin, 2K Bitcoin, yes, we can. Yes, we can, right? Especially if we kind of play out this decoupling gold accumulation narrative, right? Because what needs to happen? You've got a lot of people that still want to sell Bitcoin. And if Bitcoin is going to be a safe haven asset, well, then there has to be an opportunity for accumulation, right? Which means, okay. And there's the spring, which panics everybody out. As smart money forces or incentivizes individuals to sell at the worst possible price, and then they take price to the upside, right? But it doesn't happen overnight, right? So again, don't think that, never just go all in on Bitcoin. Average into your positions, average into your long-term positions. Be prepared for price to go lower, and just have your wits about you, right? Have your wits about you. All right. And Willy Woo, again, commenting on this, all assets that are liquid are quickly sold off for fiat, primarily for US dollars. And this led to Bitcoin seeing its second worst day ever, falling from 7,700 to the mid 4,000s. Lower on BitBit. And what is happening right now, fear is starting to subside, and people are sitting in this cash, and they're like, oh man, I don't want to hold this cash, man. We got the Fed printing money. This stuff's not even going to be able to buy the toilet paper that I just bought 15 rolls of last week when money was worth more. Man, that's a lot of toilet paper. And so people want to do something with this money. People aren't stupid. They want to put the money in something that is going to hold value. So where are people going to run? Safe haven assets, gold, silver. We've got, platinum, palladium you can make an argument for, but definitely gold, definitely silver, definitely if you go to your financial advisor, they're going to say safe stocks, right? Safe stocks, stocks that are recession proof. There's no such thing. Stocks aren't recession proof. The Forex market's recession proof. And we're going to see if Bitcoin is recession proof because we're pretty darn sure that gold is, right? We got some good knowledge that gold is also recession. But we'll see. We shall see. What they say, every bull market is the same and every bear market is different, right? And every bear market is different, but markets go up and markets go down. So it won't just go down forever. In this case, according to Willy Woo, the assets most likely to outperform in this macro environment are gold and Bitcoin. That would explain the overperformance today and why gold surged while the stock market underperformed from 2009 into 2011. All right. And Robert Breedlove, that's a heck of a name. Robert Breedlove? Woo, man. That's your fun at parties. He is the founder and chief executive of Parallax Digital. Wonder if they got a hold of my Parallax indicator. He says that infinite cash in the Federal Reserve System means it will all eventually have zero value. Bitcoin was specifically designed as a countermeasure to this. Now, I want to talk a little bit about something that was not immediately noticed by the headlines. Oh, except for the block crypto. They nailed it. But House Democrats in this coronavirus stimulus bill, this is their counter proposal for $2 trillion. They have conveniently in the mainstream media not reported on something that is very, very significant, right? A draft of this bill. This is in the final formalized copy, is going to be published later this week. It does include a provision for a digital dollar. Now, to be clear, the House Democrats aren't trying to create a decentralized cryptocurrency or anything like that, right? In order to make this happen. They are going to outline, so we can just go down here. So, this is a version of the bill dated March 22nd, includes a passage that would lead to the creation of a digital dollar to be used for providing stimulus payments, right? According to the text, this is not a decentralized cryptocurrency or anything like that, or not even a real crypto. It is defined as a balance expressed as a dollar value consisting of a digital ledger entry that is recorded as a liability in the accounts of any Federal Reserve Bank or any electronic unit of value, redeemable by an eligible financial institution as determined by the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System. What that means is a debt note, right? It's a debt note, right? The federal government, remember, every dollar in circulation is owed to somebody by somebody, right? There is not a single dollar in circulation that is not created out of debt. Money, fiat money, is created out of debt. It's all debt, right? If all debts were to be paid off, public and private, there wouldn't be a single dollar in circulation, right? All roads flow back to the Fed. They all flow back to the Fed, the arbiter and the creator of money. Currently, fiat money, right? So a debt note, right? This thing is over 1,000 pages long. So it's a digital ledger in the account of the bank or any bank that they say that they deem valuable, right? Now, as it is laid out, these wallets, right? It's just one part of the proposal, right? Which, again, as I said, spans in excess of 1,000 pages and counting, because they have not reached. They closed out the evening without being able to agree on this, right? Now, as proposed, these digital dollars would exist in a digital dollar wallet, which is further defined as a digital wallet or account maintained by a Federal Reserve Bank on behalf of any person, right? That represents holdings in an electronic device or service that is used to store digital dollars that may be tied to a digital or physical identity, right? So these are going to be centralized, regular bank accounts. Your identity is going to be required to access them, right? Now, it is obviously possible that this provision for the digital dollar gets cut from the final version of this legislation, but it is certainly there, right? It is certainly there. It is certainly there. Now, the text also, this is what I think is interesting. The text also refers to a pass-through digital dollar wallet. So if you want to see like immediately, right, how they're already getting this off on the wrong foot. First, interestingly enough, Devron Brown, who is a financial technology counsel for the House Financial Services Committee, hinted in this tweet this afternoon that it's not a final draft and that the party is looking at several ideas on how to provide stimulus to the people, right? Again, he says it very, very clearly right here. It is not a cryptocurrency provision. Of course it's not, right? It's a digital dollar provision, right? Again, you have to be careful of the pork that these guys try to push in and the way they try to walk it back and qualify these things, right? Again, this idea incorporates ideas from Michigan Congresswoman Rashida, I can't say her name. But it's the Automatic Boost to Communities Act, which called for the creation of a permanent Treasury administrated digital public currency wallet system, right? Wallet system. Now, furthermore, CoinDesk also reported on this. This is a separate bill also coming by way of the House Financial Services Committee, right? Digital dollar to ease coronavirus recessions, right? Proposed legislation. This is the same thing. This is just another attempt to institute a digital dollar, right? And this is the Take Responsibility for Workers and Family Acts. Remember, never let a good crisis go to waste, right? And this comes after another bitter day in the U.S. Senate, where Democrats and Republicans sparred all day over the details in this $2 trillion stimulus bill produced in the chamber last week. Last week, they're still sparring over it, right? And again, with them, diving and jabbing here, it's unlikely when or what is going to be passed, right? And this just continues to send shockwave after shockwave after shockwave through the economy, right? And into people's wallets. We got to add Discord. Darn, I missed it. All right. And we'll get to this in just a second here. All right, so I want to talk about this pass-through digital dollar wallet, right? It means a digital wallet or account maintained by a member bank on behalf of a qualified individual, where such qualified individual is now, again, what's a qualified individual in this context, right? A digital wallet or account maintained by a member bank on behalf of a qualified individual, right? So this is the pass-through where it will be just like the Chinese yuan, the digital renminbi, right? It will be actually issued to commercial banks by the central bank, and commercial banks, the onus will be on them to actually populate this thing and make it happen, right? Where such qualified individual is entitled to a pro rata share of a pooled reserve balance that the member bank maintains at any Federal Reserve Bank, right? So the original balance sits at the Federal Reserve and is accessed via a pass-through by the local member bank, right? So you'll go to your local bank, you'll say, hey, I'd like my digital welfare, please. And they'll be like, yep, just 1 second. Scan your fingerprint here. I'm getting a little dystopian here, but right. And they will query to see if you have a balance at the Federal Reserve and express that, right? Now, interestingly, member banks would be, this is where it really starts to go astray though. Member banks are going to be reimbursed each calendar quarter. Remember that word, reimbursed. Member banks would be reimbursed. Reimbursed, I want you to keep in your head. Each calendar quarter for actual and reasonable operational costs incurred through the offerings of such wallets, right? Meaning this isn't going to be frictionless. This is going to be frictionful, right? And where is the money coming to pay for this, right? Well, it's coming from the taxpayer, right? It's not being, well, in the case of the Fed, they're printing it out of thin air, which comes from the taxpayer, right? Now, even though, what's interesting though, is that they say that these wallets should not be subject to account or balance related fees, and that member banks would be required to provide functionality and service levels no less favorable than the existing transactional accounts being offered by those institutions already to their clients. So basically the government is attempting to say that banks are not allowed to have a financial incentive to offer you the ability to use this digital wallet. Then why are they being reimbursed for reasonable operational costs? Right? Of course, obviously the payment of individuals running this. So where does the money go to, right? They're going to find a way to figure out costs and fees in this anyways, right? Last time I checked, you could download Electrum for free and buy Bitcoin at the spot price and boom, pay the transaction fee. And that's it every time you want to send Bitcoin. But these guys are going to charge you way more to use their digital dollar. And here's the thing. All the waste, all the costs from people maintaining this, right? Whereas, last time I checked, most cryptos ran pretty well, community-wise. Now, qualified individuals as laid out in this text is both above and below the age of 18. Any individual, 16, other than any non-resident alien individual. Payments are going to be phased out, but not below zero for those making more than $75,000 a year. What does that mean? Not below zero. Right? So if you make more than 75,000, you get a penny. Send you 5 cents. Under 75,000, like if you make 69,999, 1,500, baby. Right? One thing does appear evident in this text. Again, this is not a final thing. They haven't signed off on this. But because what Mnuchin and what the Treasury Department has floated is by check, right? Is by check, right? And as for the timing, the bill does state that no later than January 1st, 2021, they want to have this rolled out. So, again, for those waiting for kind of the digital solution, think about that for a second. January 1st, 2021, and this is for coronavirus relief. Now, clearly, they're going to send out physical checks, right? You know, I've heard some people saying that's not going to. They can send out physical checks, no problem, right? They can send out physical checks, no problem. It's going to take some time, but they can send out physical checks, no problem. But they're saying no later than January 1st, 2021. Does that mean that they expect us to stay locked down until January 1st, 2021? Or that is how long they are already foreseeing how long this economic impact is going to last? Is that how long they intend to pay people to stay at home or to subsidize individuals financially to keep injecting cash and throwing helicoptering money at people? It seems like the US digital dollar that we've been talking about on a regular basis in our reporting on the topic of CBDCs, central bank digital currencies, is coming into existence sooner than many of us could have expected, right? Certainly precipitated by this economic crisis that blindsided the United States and the global economy seeming out of nowhere in 2020, right? Now, just last week, you guys might recall, in this episode, Breaking Bitcoin Market Analysis, live trading, Wednesday Night Market Watch. So last week, we covered the topic of the surprise appointment of a new deputy comptroller of the currency who happened to come straight out of the world of crypto. This is Brian Brooks, former legal advisor for Coinbase, and what it meant for the US dollar. And Brian was appointed by the Treasury Secretary and crypto naysayer Steve Mnuchin, right? And we considered at that time, if this meant that the tide was turning on the matter of a digital dollar by his appointment, right? He was the former chief legal officer, again, over at Coinbase. And of course, that's the largest crypto exchange platform in the United States, right? And I explained how Brooks was an outspoken advocate of blockchain technology and how it stood in stark contrast to other government and banking officials, which typically have downplayed the adoption of cryptocurrency in recent years. And how quickly things change. Because here we are just a week later discussing how the government is now looking at delivering a bailout to Main Street on the back of a possible digital currency and wallet system. Is anyone thinking yet that it was no coincidence that a former executive from the world of cryptocurrency was suddenly made comptroller of the currency? If you haven't seen our coverage, we'll have a link below in the description, and we'll also be releasing our coverage of Brooke and his statements on the tokenization of the US dollar in a Breaking Bitcoin Bits coming this week. So stay tuned for that, as it is clearly more relevant now than it's ever been before. All right, guys, it is now 11 o'clock. We've been going for quite a while. So let's hop over here and answer your guys' questions in today's Q&A segment. Again, make sure if you guys are watching on YouTube, make sure to smash the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you guys have not already. We cover stuff that you're not going to hear anywhere else. And again, all of our socials are down below. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram for exclusive content. Make sure to stay tuned. And again, maybe check out that Breaking Bitcoin Bits following this episode. We're not going to do any chart requests tonight. Heath L says, I'm interested to see what happens after the jobs reports come out. Thoughts? Listen, honestly, I think that with the unemployment rate already a known, like we already know that it's going to be bad. I'm not actually expecting much impact as I would normally expect from, things like CPI or, things like that, for example, right? I would normally expect those things to, to have some significant impact on the currency because I do trade Forex. In this situation, there's this larger external factor, right? So I'm not actually particularly expecting the markets to go any way. Honestly, I'm just looking at that as a wake-up call when people see that unemployment rate, right? Danny GM Pietro says, why is cryptocurrency pumping? Someone explain. Hopefully I explained to the best of my ability, right? Zuhair Nakvi, I answered that question. I thought he had another question that I missed. Let me scroll up and see Zuhair's last question. All right, Zuhair asks, how do I balance waiting for confirmation versus getting great entries? I tend to catch knives that support resistance and every trade is nerve-wracking. Yeah, I just don't trade like that, right? That's why. I get confirmation and I go, right? And sometimes, right? Sometimes, price will just go in my direction and sometimes it'll pull back and, I guess I could, you can be nerve-wracked about it, but if you've traded your system over and over and over again, and you know that the odds are in your favor, and you know that you have a high likelihood of success, right? And you manage your risk, you just take the trade, right? Because yes, here's the thing, right? I trade a lot of different markets, and I like to stay mobile, and I like to stay active, and I do not want to watch the charts all day. It is not good for you, right? It is not good for you, right? There are a lot of alternatives, especially nowadays. And that's why we're building automated solutions for individuals now. It's what we're focusing on. So there are a lot of solutions out there, right? A lot of better ways, because you're not, there's not as much data in price action as people think, in my opinion, right? Not that's going to make you money on a significant basis, in my opinion, right? Most people do not crush it on the LTS. So yeah, I don't. There are times where I will use support and resistance as confluence for a discretionary setup. Certainly, right? I've done that before. I've had good success with that. But yeah, overall, my answer to this is that I don't focus on optimizing entries. I focus on optimizing my consistency and risk management, right? So, I'll enter into a trade and maybe it'll pull back on me 3 or 5%, whatever, don't care. Eventually, it generally goes in my favor, right? And that's because I could sit there and try to optimize my entry, right? I get a great entry, but then I have to wait for it. I have to sit around forever. I have to, like miss out on time with my family or doing other things. And I'm not trying to live like that, right? Because I know that I could just market enter right here and there's a good probability that's going to hit my take profit. And I'm going to make the amount of money that I wanted to make in the first place. I move my stop loss to break even and let the trade run. Meanwhile, I go look for other opportunities elsewhere. So that's how I personally deal with that, my friend. I talked about index futures earlier. Agency asks, are there any niche sectors we could look at for long equity plays? Certainly, man. Especially small caps. Small caps have a good probability to move to the upside. Penny stocks are still penny stocks. It's just going to be harder, right? It's just going to be harder. And I mean, I'm certainly not going to hold you back from doing anything. But man, my question would be like, why, when there is so much opportunity to the short side, man? As insofar as the the SBA loans, listen, there's going to be opportunity. Listen, here's the thing, man. If money's being helicoptered around, it's not good for the economy. But get what you can get, man. That's my honest opinion, man. If you have a small business and that cash is going to help you make payroll and keep your employees employed, take advantage of that, man. But before you turn to any like third-party company or corporation or leech that pops up, see immediately what your local government is doing, what your state government is doing, and what the federal government is doing, right? Those are very, very, very clearly laid out in options. So for example, I know for a fact that my state is offering small business loans right now. You guys are, so we'll see. And that helicopter money's going straight into Bitcoin, baby. No. Yeah, Boris Bitcoin said it perfectly right there, man. My trading life has become so much less stressful now that I don't focus on getting the perfect entry. Can I do a video on Binance margin? Got lost trying to figure it out the other day. Certainly. Do I expect the bill that gets passed to act like a dead cat, bounce on the markets? Honestly, listen, I've said this before. I am not going to be surprised by a rally here. I won't. I've said it before, right? I would not be surprised to see price move up for maybe slowly a month, right? I view those things as shorting opportunities, right? I think that you need to stay smart, stay safe, identify your entries, and take your opportunities. As far as exactly what the bill is going to do, I don't know. I can't. Nobody can do that with any level of accuracy, right? That's certainly not my strength. Kelsey Anthus asks, is there a video I could search for that covers the premium membership or more information on the Discord? Yes, there is. If you go out to our YouTube channel here and you go to the, there is a premium Discord or premium membership playlist on YouTube. And there is the premium Discord tutorial on there, right? Where we do an overview of that. We do an overview of the Discord. There's also all of our trading crypto 101s. I highly recommend those because I do go over some of the premium indicators in those videos. Some of the indicators that we have on TradingView are public. Anybody can access them, like Water Explosion. I am publishing an optimized version of Water Explosion that has a much higher strike rate. That's going to be premium members only. The strategy testers for the indicators, those are premium member only. And again, we have so much stuff. I'll be here all night if I list it, but it's all on our website, premium.krakencryptocurrency.com. A full description of all of our tiers, all of our packages, all of our pricing. It's right there. And if you ever need any questions or help, leave a comment down below, hop in Discord, ask any of the staff members. You'll be able to tell them by the CC that's at the beginning of their name. Pretty easy to talk to, my friend. When that bill gets passed, it's gonna pump stocks and then pump Bitcoin over 7K. That's just my guess. Let's go, baby. Let's go. The only reason I thought about a paid version of TradingView is for the volume profile. I like to have the 1 second resolution for Renko, and I like the ability to store as many charts as I want. And obviously the HR. I mean, there's a lot of benefits, right? Obviously, you also need the pro account because I can publish private indicators from my group as well as public indicators on TradingView. All right, so good questions, man. If we hadn't gone so long, I do see that Jake Jackson here asked for the dollar yen. I am watching the dollar yen, but I can tell you right now, I didn't see an active trade on that right now. And then Yago had asked for, I do analyze other cryptocurrencies. I do. IOTA USDT. I did not look at it tonight, and it's just running a little too long. I apologize, my friend. If we don't run too long on the fundamentals some other night, I will definitely get that for you, my friend. All right. Cool. All right. I think we got everything, man. Let me check something here real quick. All right. So I want to thank you guys for joining me for another episode of Breaking Bitcoin Market Analysis. My name is Justin Wise. I'm the lead analyst and senior mentor at crackingcryptocurrency.com. I hope you guys have a fantastic evening. I hope you guys enjoyed the analysis and the fundamentals. As always, if you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure to hit the subscribe button and hit the bell, turn on all notifications. That's how you'll find out because we do go live every single day. Our new time slot is now 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, 10 p.m. Eastern, and of course, 7 p.m. Pacific. Unfortunately, it is a bad GMT time, but it is the first thing you guys can watch when you wake up. We still love you, fam. Still love you, Euro fam. We're still here. Still here. And again, we'll just kind of reevaluate, obviously, with the current economic situation, not really the economic situation, mostly with our staff, with kids being home and everything. A lot of us are parents, and it just puts a damper on the noon show. So look forward to returning to that if that's going to be feasible in the near future. But for now, we are going to be here for the rest of the week, certainly at 9 p.m. And we look forward to the new people to join, the new subscribers, the new viewers. We're going to be here every single night, every single day. We've been here for years, breaking down the market. So if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, sarcastic remarks, or death threats, leave them in the comment section down below. Let me know what you learned, preferably, and tell me what you guys would like to see in tomorrow night's episode so we can kind of research it and get some good opinions on it. As always, remember that we do have a 4-week Bitcoin trading competition with a fairly robust prize pool. 0.33 BTC. I think a handful of people sign up. It'll be 1 BTC that is going to be taking place on ByBit. That is the margin trading platform that we utilize. There is a link down in the description if you have not registered. You will get a $90 margin bonus when you use that link, bybit.krakencryptocurrency.com. So come up, show us your skills in the order book on the leaderboard that you guys can see at bybitboard.krakencryptocurrency.com. There's no cost to join. You just need to have a minimum balance of 0.05 BTC, which last time I checked, is pretty cheap right now. So come out, win prizes, and enjoy your time in quarantine by showing us how well you can trade Bitcoin. Test a new strategy out. As always, you can follow us on our, boom, I hit the right button, on our socials, Twitter and Instagram. We post exclusive content there that you will not see anywhere else. And of course, if you are beginning your journey toward trading and you guys would like access to our indicator suite, access to our signals, to our mentoring community, to everything that we offer, premium.krakencryptocurrency.com. We'd love to have you guys in our community. Until tomorrow night, you guys need to be awesome, be excellent to one another, trade safely, and again, it's not too late. Do something excellent so you can mark off, did something awesome today. Right? I'll see you guys tomorrow night. Trade safely.